You're dialed in to the Dawg Pound Podcast, your weekly shot of Cleveland Browns recaps, reactions, and rants with your hosts, Jon Drake and Chris Aiken.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the Dawg Pound Podcast. I am your host, Jon Drake. With me, as always, the mighty Chris Aiken. And I gotta say, man, I could get used to doing shows like this. This is, it does not suck talking about the Browns after not only a win, but a dominant win, does it?
It is always fun to see somebody that's not the Browns getting an ass whooping. I love it.
And especially when it's a division rival and one we hate, like the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. And with all the drama with Hugh and everything, it was perfect. This was just a perfect show, a perfect game. I loved it.
Yeah, they basically did nothing in the second half, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, what did Baker have in the second half? Like 12 yards passing or something?
Yeah, he was like he threw it 4 times. He didn't even have to. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I wasn't very happy with that part of it. I thought they took their foot off the gas. You and I were texting about it, like, let's at least try. I mean, I get it. You're protecting the lead and you're running the ball to eat the clock, but I mean, it became quite obvious when, since he's just stuffing 9 guys in the box, like, okay, maybe try something different because you're just going to keep going 3 and out. Let's not, give them a chance to come back in any way. So that's really my only complaint of the game. Everything else is nothing but positives.
Yeah, I'm with you. They should have definitely put their foot on Cincy's throat and just crushed their larynx because it was definitely needed. And I'll be honest, I was worried in that second half when they brought in the backup quarterback and he just raced up the field for a quick score. I was like, come on. There's no way is this guy not only is he the backup quarterback, but he really is a quarterback that nobody's heard of. It's not like he was a star in college that's just waiting for his time. What was his name? Jeff Driscoll or something?
Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah. Who's that? Is he
yeah.
I mean, you follow college. Is Jeff Driscoll a name?
I don't recall hearing about him.
Yeah, I mean, where did he go to school? Alcorn State? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was not anywhere of substance.
No, I mean, yeah, I had the exact same thought. I was like, oh boy, and then they really were moving the ball, and I'm like, okay, like this should be a wake up call. I mean, near the end of the game when they got that play down to like the 3-yard line that ended up getting called back, but I'm sitting there like, oh man, are you kidding me?
Right.
They're going to get a score. And then typical Browns, I'm thinking in my head, if they score here, they're getting the onside kick. Mm-hmm. That's just how it has to work.
Yeah. That's Browns football for you right there.
Yeah. So that was, I didn't like that, but I mean, to me, that's just a sign of a young team that hasn't been in that position. So they basically are sitting there like, oh, we got this. Like, well, no. You have a huge lead, but you have to take care of it properly. And predictable play calling to where the other team knows exactly what you're doing every play is not the way to do it. I mean, run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. Like, let's maybe mix in some play action here and there. Keep them back on their heels. At least get a few first downs.
Yeah, take it downfield. They didn't take it downfield one time in the second half, did they?
Not really, no.
I mean, it was – look, I'm not complaining. A 35-20 win that wasn't really that close is beautiful.
Yes.
And I will guarantee you that it was as you can hear, my throat is still fried because I was screaming at my TV, cheering, just in absolute almost orgasm-like elation. I mean, it was that good to see that happening. But at the same time, that second half, I got pretty quiet.
I did too. It was funny because my wife said, "Oh man, this game's boring." I love kicking their ass, but man, this is getting boring.
And you were like, "Shut up!"
Well, don't say that. And then sure enough, there it was.
Yeah,
but
no,
I mean, it's pretty good if that's all we have to complain about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of positives out of the game. I'm going to start where I always start, which is the line. And man, oh man, that Greg Robinson pickup, what a move that is turning out to be, huh?
Yeah, that I mean, Baker's been untouched. I mean, the last 2 games he hasn't been sacked once, and I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but I don't think he was even hit in this last game, like an actual like statistically viable quarterback hit.
Yeah.
He was basically untouched.
Yeah, it was really, really nice to see, him being protected. It was really nice to see, Chubb just basically able to run at will. The line was just opening up big holes, and it was surprising too because what's his name? The center,
J.C. Treader.
J.C. Treader was hurt the whole game. I don't know if you saw him or not, but he was limping around the whole game.
Yeah, I didn't see that during the game. I was too busy focusing on Baker Mayfield. Go figure. But yeah, I heard that after the game that he was limping around pretty good.
Yeah, he was limping the whole game, but yet they were opening up everything on both sides of him. So he was definitely doing his job of blocking when needed, even if he was doing it on one leg. And like I said, Robinson was unstoppable, or unflappable rather, on Sunday as well. Nothing came around the left side and got to Baker. And dude, the whole line was great. The line play was great. And here's a new one from my mouth. I was very, very happy with the tight end play.
Yeah, that's new for you.
All 3 tight ends played well. Njoku played well. That touchdown, take the touchdown aside. I mean, yeah, it was a nice score on a cornball play, but
the crowd surf.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, all right, they carried him in, Hulk Hogan style into the end zone.
That was pretty cool.
It was funny, but I mean, he played solidly, and I thought that Charles and Fells both played very well as well. They were strong in both avenues that they need to be strong. They were strong in the run. They were strong in the pass. The blocking was good. They caught the ball when it was thrown to them. You can't complain about that. And that was good. Obviously, Baker played. He played okay, I guess. Was his quarterback rating 140 or something?
It's like 142 or something.
Yeah, like one pass away from perfect.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Every week there's just some other record that he's breaking. It's like, what the hell are we watching, man? Like, is this really like our guy?
No.
Did we just borrow him? Like, when do we have to give him back?
Yeah. When's he gonna slap on that Ravens uniform and just depress us?
Yeah, exactly. it's getting ridiculous with him, and I'm so interested to see what happens the next few weeks, because I'm super positive. I'm super optimistic about the offense as a whole. Baker is so obvious and Nick Chubb is obvious, but as you pointed out, the offensive line and the receivers are getting open, the tight ends are playing well. Freddie Kitchens is really utilizing the talent properly. But there is that caveat that the last 3 defenses we've played have really sucked, especially
right.
Cincinnati was like literally the worst defense in the league. So when you're going up against defenses like Houston and Carolina and Denver, 2 of which are top 10 defenses.
Sure.
I know Houston is, but I don't quote me on Denver. But I think that's really what is going to show us where we're currently at. Because It's one thing to whoop up on the 31st and 32nd ranked defenses, but when you start going up against Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt, now let's see what the left and right tackles can do.
Well, sure, but you know what? Unlike past Browns years, at least in my mind, the thing that I like is they don't seem to play up and down football. They seem to be a lot more consistent. You know how in at least the last 5 years. Every damn game they played, first of all, they played below everybody else, but if they played a garbage team, they played below the garbage. And if they played a great team, then they would play a great game, but below the great team. It's always been like that. This year, very, even when Hugh was here, very, very consistently, quality games. If thinking back to the, what we were talking about just a few weeks ago, what did we have? 4 or 5 games that were decided by 3 points.
Yeah.
So they have not played up and down football. They've had a couple games where they just sucked, but for the very most part, they have played a confident, competitive game. And I don't see that changing, as the confidence builds. Now I ain't gonna lie, Houston scares me. I don't know if you watched any of Houston last night, but
no, but I am on the same page with you though.
They made the Titans look like not a good team, and I don't know if they are or not. But
I was gonna say, what do you take from that? Because I mean, the Titans, they beat the ever living hell out of the Patriots, and then they lose. Was it to the Bills? They've been so up and down. So I don't know I really don't know how to read into that Houston win last night because it was dominant. But okay, is that more a product of where they're at or just Tennessee being like, meh? Did you see, case in point, did you see Marcus Mariota's stats?
Yeah, they're average.
He had, no, last night he had only one incomplete pass.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant overall. Yeah.
No,
he's good last night, but
he has one incomplete pass and lost the game. How is that even possible?
Well,
but then they said he dinks and dunks like nobody's job. So
yeah, he's
Tyrod
Taylor.
Yeah, very much so.
That's what he is. He's Tyrod Taylor. He's a game manager, not a game winner.
Yeah,
But here's what I see from that game. Forget the play on the field. What I see is win number 8 in a row.
Yeah,
which means that's a damn good team.
Mention that.
They started 0-3 and now have just kicked everyone's ass for 2 months. So
yeah,
I'm not. Again, this is where we are turning the corner somewhat. In years past, we'd already be saying, well, as long as they don't give up 45. And
true.
And I'm not there. I'm like, all right, we got as good a shot as anybody to beat this team. We got to play well. We've got to play better than we did in the second half of the Bengal game. But if we play 2 halves like we did in the first half of the Bengal game, or the complete game that we played in New Orleans, why can't we? Why can't we beat this team?
Yeah, I agree. The last 3 games, I think the second half against Cincinnati was a fluke. Just because you're up. That was the first time they'd been up by that many points in a half since 1991, for Christ's sake. So, it's been a while.
Well,
so,
did you get the feeling that they were in the second half, once they had the lead, they were a little bit taken out of the game and a lot more taken into the Hugh Jackson thing in the second half? That's what I thought. I thought because, with the Demarius Randall embarrassing him and, Baker just lighting it up after he clearly doesn't like Hugh, I almost wonder if there wasn't a lot of that, look at us now, asshole, going on the field.
Like I said, earlier, they hadn't been in that position. And it looked like a young team. It's like,
right.
They always have that saying, like, act like you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been there. So I think they just kind of assumed, okay, we got this.
Yeah.
And then got a scare put in them, which I personally think is a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad it didn't get closer, but I think they kind of needed a little bit of a slap in the face, like, hey, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and there ain't no singing yet. So
yeah, well,
you need to make her sing, and they didn't really do that.
Right? Yeah, she was definitely over there eating donuts and warming up. She was definitely ready to go.
Nice, but yeah, and I think that was a good thing for this week. Like I say, this week for me, and I'm going to be honest, like I'm probably going to kind of like preface my pick here, but I hate to say this, but I think the Browns are in for a big letdown this week, because I'm super bought in, and the future is so bright. But I just, after seeing what they did coming off of that Baltimore win, it just seems like they start reading their press clippings, and that's a problem. And this week was different, of course, but that. I still wonder if it wasn't a division opponent, and especially Hugh Jackson, would they have been that up for this game?
Yeah, well,
so
I know.
This week, I think this week is going to show us exactly where they truly are. Because if you go out there and you're competitive the whole game, okay, then you really know you're onto something. And let's say they win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you take out the third seed in the AFC,
yeah,
who's won 8 games in a row, I think you can really look at this Browns team and say, okay, if they haven't turned the corner, they're like one footstep away from doing so.
Right. They're starting to roll past the stop sign.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think this game is enormous in terms of being a barometer for where the team really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that I know one guy that's going to be super amped up about this game is your guy, Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker is going into this game with a huge chip on his shoulder because, one, he has a big ego, and two, Hugh specifically in his little run after he was fired talked about how he wanted Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
so
good point.
I have a very strong feeling that cockstrong fucking Baker Mayfield is going to come out there and be like, I'm going to show this guy, I'm going to put up 480 yards today.
Yeah. Right.
I really have a feeling that he is going to be amped up. Now, I hope that, the receivers and Chubb and everybody else has that same energy and feed off him the way they seemingly have in these other games. Yeah. But I think this is a very personal game for Baker, and it's one of those games that could go either way. I know I said this in week 2 and you didn't want to hear it, but I still stand by this. He's going to have some games that just stink.
Yeah, for sure.
And he hasn't had one in a while. He really has not had even a marginal game in, a month? Or so.
No. I mean, he played well against the Chiefs. I mean, everyone's talking about the last 2 games, but I mean, he played well against the Chiefs.
That's what I mean.
And it was a losing game, obviously, because but I mean, since Hugh Jackson has been gone and Todd Haley has been gone, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, but he's due. He's due.
Yeah.
He's due. And gee, I can't imagine I cannot fathom that with Clowney and Watt rushing him, throwing to what I will still say are marginal receivers. They're decent, but they're marginal receivers by comparison to most of the rest of the league.
Sure.
I can't imagine that there could be 2 or 3 interceptions in there. No chance, right?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and see, that's kind of one of the keys to this game, I think. And I was thinking about this earlier, and I think first and foremost, you have to start with more short, quick outs. Yeah. Like the slant passes Jarvis Landry could eat it up this game because that's where he excels, throw him that quick slant kind of a thing. I think the other person, again, because offensive line's been playing great, but when you got Clowney on one side and Watt on the other, you're in for a long day unless you get it out of Baker's hands quickly.
Right. Because
he's just not going to be able to sit back there like he has. And damn well that the Texans are going to look at footage of the game film, footage like it's a movie, game film of the Charger game where they purposely closed off those alleys where he steps up in the pocket or moves. They're going to be doing that.
Sure.
So that said, the other player I think could have a huge game because I read somewhere that one of the only criticisms of Clowney and Watt is that they kind of over pursue.
Mm-hmm.
You could get them bubble screens to Duke Johnson going big time.
Yeah,
that's the case.
And you could also have some real success doing something that we never do, which is a draw play.
Yeah, that was exactly where I was going to go next, was also with the draw play. Yeah. So, there's opportunities for success, I think, but again, it's incredible because it's going to be such a barometer because we're all so high, the confidence is high, the team is all up, and again, if they come out and they whoop ass in this game, I think my head's going to explode because I'm just going to be like, okay, this is pretty much, I don't think we can deny that this is real now.
Right.
And for me, it'll be like, holy shit.
Right.
So you mean I actually have a team that can compete for the playoffs and I have like an upper echelon franchise quarterback? That's something that we haven't been able to say since the Bernie Kosar years.
Right. Well, I'm definitely not ready to talk playoffs yet. I know you are, but I'm
talking about next year. I'm not talking about this year. But
I keep seeing it come up in like national stuff now, and it's like, you know what? Enough. Stop that. Stop, because all the national media is doing, and the local callers on all the stupid talk shows that are talking about it, all they're doing is setting themselves up to be disappointed. It's like, understand what this is this year. We knew this was the rebuilding year or another rebuilding year, but we're actually seeing the blocks being mortared into place.
Yeah.
Unlike every other year where we were building, our house out of leaves. Now it's like some brick and some mortar, and it's starting to take shape, but it's just starting. We're not ready for a hurricane yet. So take it easy, everybody, and enjoy if we get to 6-7 wins. I mean, come on. Beginning of the year, we were all saying 3, 2.
Well, and combine that with the fact that if you at the beginning of the season, people are saying, 5 or 6 wins at most. But then let's say they get to, 7 wins. Okay, we'll just use that as the benchmark. So they go 7-8-1. If at the beginning of the season you were to tell these fans, well, you're going to be 7-8-1, you're going to fire your head coach and your offensive coordinator halfway through the season and still win, would they have 2 wins when he left? You're going to win 5 of your last 8 games after the head coach and offensive coordinator get fired, and Baker Mayfield looks like a beast. I mean, they would schedule a parade for that.
Sure. But see,
that's beyond successful.
I just think we have to temper our success. We can't look at record this year. And I've been saying that all year long. We can't look at it.
Yep.
If we don't win another game this year, if we don't win one more game this year, if we end up 4-11-1 or whatever that would be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If we end up 4-11-1, but we get games like we had against Oakland, against New Orleans, against who else did we lose? The Steeler game, etc.
Yeah.
If we have games like that sprinkled into the next 6 games or 5 games that we have left, and we don't win any of them, but we see that kind of play, man, we got to be happy with that. We got to be happy with, okay, this team has grown so much. And they are exactly what we think. They're like 1 or 2 players and some depth away. We're not losing. We're not losing games because we don't have good plays or good players. We're losing games really because we don't have enough depth. We don't have enough depth to when we start winning and somebody gets hurt, we can't. If anybody gets replaced anywhere on the field, it is a hole. It's not true next man up, and that is a big problem that we have this year. And even with that, we're this close in at least, I just named 3 games that could have been wins, and if we would have, and I'll argue all day long, I know it's easy to bang on the kicker, and Lord knows Amos still isn't getting an award from me, but
me neither.
But if we would have had some more depth especially on the defensive line and in the defensive backfield, we probably, if we'd had any depth in the defensive backfield, we win at least 1 of those 3 games.
Yeah.
And maybe 2, because, the Steeler game at the end, Roethlisberger was just boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
And he threw 6 picks, but still when it counted, he was completing the ball.
Yeah.
And that goes to depth.
Yep. And I think the other thing, to your point, is also the lack of experience. I mean, I think that's another thing that the team is missing that, another year will give them. It's, a team, as much as we hate to mention it, but a team like the Steelers, they start out the first, and it seems like this happens to them every year. They start out the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season looking like crap. People are like, what's up? And then all of a sudden you look up and they're like 7-4, 8-3. It's like, what the hell happened? Like, they just get rolling because they know that there's plenty of time in the season. They know how to adapt. They know how to, work around injuries and all that stuff. And it's just something that we don't have yet. And
Patriots,
that'll come with time.
Patriots.
Yeah, another perfect example. Yeah. And the best examples that we can bring up are all the elite franchises.
Yeah. I mean, the Patriots are probably the greatest dynasty of our lifetime. I think that at least that I've been watching.
How could you deny that? Yeah.
And let's face it, how many years in a row have we seen them be 1-3, 2-2, whatever, and seeing all the stupid national articles saying, is Tom Brady done? Is he too old? Has the game passed him by? And then he comes back and whoops ass for 12 weeks, and they go 12-4.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just the teams that win know how to win. And, I've said this to you off air, but I'll say it, now. A couple years ago when I was spending half my time in Pittsburgh, and Roethlisberger got hurt and they brought in Michael Vick to be the quarterback, they did not have it. It was a fundamental difference of a team. They did not have like we would have here of, okay, well, we're going to lose for these 4 games. If Baker went down today, we would not even think that we have a prayer in any other games. True?
Yeah, very true.
But their mentality of a team was, okay, next guy, get in here, and we better win at least 2 of these 4 games. And they did.
Yeah, keep it afloat until the main guy comes back.
Exactly. And that will come with time, and that again will come with depth. The more depth that we have when our backup isn't Tyrod Taylor, but somebody that's actually decent.
I can't take him now. You could do a lot worse than Tyrod Taylor as your backup quarterback, but
okay.
I mean, I won't, again, we just talked about Jeff Driscoll. Like, who the hell is that? At least Tyrod Taylor's taken a team to the playoffs, and he's got a above 500 record as a starting quarterback.
Yeah,
so
but he doesn't fit this team.
He's got that going for him.
But he doesn't fit this team.
No, I agree with that. But I'm saying it could be worse. I mean, who do you want? I mean, in Baltimore, your backup quarterback is RG3. We've been through that. Would you take RG3 or Tyrod Taylor?
There's that. Yeah.
So there you go. So, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And, when I mentioned the playoffs, I'm talking, like next year, because you start looking at it and, the coulda, woulda, shouldas. Yeah. I mean, this season, I mean, it's funny to think, and again, this is a hypothetical thing, of course, but, let's say like in a perfect world, we win out. Mm-hmm. Like the owner of my company was talking to me about this the other day. He's like, let's say you win out and you go 9-6-1.
Did you get him drug tested?
Right. Can't do that. Need my paycheck. But yeah, I mean, let's say, in a perfect world that happened and you missed the playoffs by 1 game. Could you just imagine looking back to that? I mean, let's just use the Oakland game where that wasn't even something we screwed up. That was a crappy call by the refs. How furious are you going to be if that's like the case? And then you start looking at like Zane Gonzalez in the damn Saints game and all. Oh my God. But I mean, yeah, I definitely think we're a year away, but I think the way we finish is really going to tell just how close. Like, I mean, can we say, we're going to compete for a wild card next year, or, if we do win, 5 of the last 6 or whatever it'll end up being, or 4 of the last 5 here coming down the stretch, can you really say, okay, well, we might be able to compete for the division, because if you let's say we win 4 of these last 5, you're going to have wins over, Baltimore and Cincinnati. So your division record is going to be 4-1-1.
Yeah.
So if you're dominating the division, that's where it's at right there. They always say, like, take care of your division, then go 500 in the rest, and you're,
yeah, and you're in.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
So, and I have to admit, I mean, and this is, typical me, but how there's 2 Browns fans living inside of me, and one of them is usually more prevalent than the other, that being the Homer side. But
I don't know that you have another side, but go ahead.
Well, if you listen to the podcast, it sounds like I do, so at least I play one on the radio. But like, the rational part of me is going, all right, 1 game at a time. Let's see what happens. Like I just said, like, this week's going to be a big barometer, and they need this, if they're going to make this late push, and see what happens, and whatever. And then there's the other part of me that's just screaming inside, like, oh my God, we're winning. If we win all of them, we'll be 9-6-1. What if Baltimore loses a bunch and Denver loses it? Like, I'm trying so hard to keep that part of me down, and it's getting harder and harder because I'm just getting so excited and so ahead of myself. And you made a point that said, how disappointed are we going to be? Because people are thinking playoffs. If we don't make it, they're going to be disappointed. And I'm not even going to lie. If we get close and don't make it, I'm just going to be heartbroken, even though I know it's the dumbest way to feel, but I won't be able to help myself.
You know what?
So,
In a way, it almost makes me hope that we end up 8-7-1 and miss on a tiebreaker just to see you lose your mind.
Because you know that will happen. You'll be getting the texts immediately as soon as we're officially mathematically eliminated after week 17 of me going, man, Zay Gonzalez and the referees and 10 more yards in Tampa Bay and the stupid field goal in Pittsburgh.
And as time goes on, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, the spelling will get more and more sloppy as you get more and more drunk.
Right? Just drowning my sorrows. Hey, because that could happen because I have off of work the next day because the last game of the season is December 30th.
Right.
And it's a Sunday. We have the 31st and the first off of work. So if I did want to drown my sorrows, I could. Holy crap.
I'm not ready to say that you're going to have any chance for that. I'm still sticking to about 5 wins, and that's more than I thought at the beginning of the year. And
well, now wait a minute. Saying 5 wins, you're saying they're only going to win one of the next 5 games.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
With as good as they're playing, and I'm not questioning you because it's.
Fine.
I mean, what looked like some games that would have been easier are suddenly not. Like, Baltimore's all of a sudden gotten it back together, and Carolina, while they're on a 3-game losing streak, they're still a playoff contender, and then Denver, they were written off 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden,
and I'm not looking past Cincinnati either.
Oh, I am.
I'm not. Dude, I hate them. Don't get me wrong, I hate them, but they're going to be very, very, very pissed off when they come back here with all the smack talk and all the. Don't think that every player on that team isn't watching Hugh getting handed the ball every single day. Don't think that that's not going on. And don't think that they're not hearing Baker talking smack and Randall talking smack and that they're not going to come in. And let's not forget that they have criminals on that team. It would not shock me at all to see Vontaze Burfict come out there with a steel bar and hit Baker in the kneecap.
Go Jeff Galooly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, seeing Vontaze Burfict do something to intentionally hurt somebody, specifically Baker, is not out of the realm of possibility. Honestly, and that's what I mean. I'm not ready to say we're going to mow down the Bengals. I'm not ready to say it.
I am. And I will tell you why. I've always thought they're overrated.
I do too.
I've always thought Andy Dalton's overrated. They suck this year, and I have a bet with my brother-in-law, one of my really close friends, that the Browns would beat the Bengals both times, and it's a bottle of booze, each of them, because they wanted to bet $100. I'm like, well, I'm not that stupid. So I'm halfway there. Yeah. I didn't even run my mouth this past weekend to them. I wasn't like, oh, yeah, we got it. I'm like, nope, bet's not over yet.
Right. Well,
I said halfway there. I said, I warned you, especially my friend, he just won't shut up. I'm like, dude, better watch your ass because Baker Mayfield can light you up. And sure enough, boy, did he shut the hell up.
Well, yeah, but they got Jeff Driscoll.
Yeah, well, see, exactly. There you go. I mean, you're gonna have weeks of tape on this backup quarterback guy,
right.
And and you are right. They're gonna come in with some serious juice, and they're gonna be pissed. But here's the thing: the Browns know that, and the Browns want to smack them. It's basically like OSU Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Michigan came in here with this chip on their shoulder because we can finally do this. And OSU was like, no, we can really break your hearts this time.
Yeah, but who says that we're not Michigan thinking, we can do this time. We can take the series this time.
No, because you know why, dude? I really don't think Baker Mayfield has that in him. I really think he looks at this as, like he said, it's a rivalry game. Mm-hmm. And, just his comments about rivalry games in general. Yeah. After the game and, yesterday, I don't think he's got that in him to go, oh yeah, we got this. He's cocky, but in that good way. I don't think he's cocky like, oh, we got this. Like, no, he wants to smash people and he doesn't look past opponents.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I'm not ready to count any wins yet. I know the team is playing a lot better. I know it's exciting and God damn it is fun. But they're not there yet. They're not at a place where I can look at anything on the schedule and say that's a win. Not yet. There's still definitive gaps in the game.
I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm saying for me the Bengals game is that, And I'm saying that because I really believe that the Browns are finally at a place where I think they think like I do. And I think they can actually back it up.
You're just saying it because you don't want to watch your friends drink your booze.
I don't give a crap about that. Honestly, dude, that wouldn't bother me at all. If I win this bet and they both go, I'm not buying you nothing, I'm like, that's fine. Because we just bitch slapped your team twice, so up your ass.
Right.
That's more than good enough for me. I'm drunk on the euphoric feeling of whooping your stripy asses twice this year. Goddamn Cincinnati with your loudmouth idiot fans. Yeah. Ugh. But anyway,
I'm not a fan either. I'm really not a fan, but I'm just not quite. I think the core of what this podcast is coming out right now. The homer versus the realist. You know, you're excited.
No, I agree. I'm realistic on the other 4 games. That one, I'm actually going to stand up for once and go, no, they're doing this.
I may, but I'll be honest. I might be that guy when that game comes up. But right now, I still want to see it. I still want to see. I want to see that they don't lose focus if they get whomped on by the Texans, and they're a young team that could. A really bad game could take the wave the other way.
I agree.
And we haven't even talked about this on any of the podcasts yet, but we're at that time of the season where young players and rookies especially hit that wall. They hit that tired wall. And we see it every year. And Lord knows there's no younger team than what we're fielding. And who's to say that Chubb and Baker and the other younger guys, Carey and whatnot, are not going to be hitting that wall too. And you hit that wall in the NFL. Guess what? What do you think is gonna happen if this is the week that Ward hits the wall? How many touchdowns does what's his name, Watkins have? Or is that his name, Watkins? Hopkins. How many yards?
DeAndre Hopkins, yeah.
How many yards?
You got Demaryius Thomas on the other side now.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I mean, it's again. I'm not hoping for any of this. I'm just always very realistic, and I'm not going to get too high off of 1 win or 2 wins. I'm just not ready to go there quite yet. Let me see them get to the end of the season and prove me wrong. I'll happily be wrong. If we get to the end of the season and they're 9-6-1 or 9, what would it? Yeah,
9-6-1 if they won everything.
If they're 9-6-1 at the end of the season, I will happily come on, take this microphone, and say, you know what, I was wrong. They kicked ass. The emotion won. I'm happy, and I'm happy to do that because we'll be looking at a wild card game, and good Lord, will we be drinking heavily at either your house or mine?
Right. Yeah, I see. It's like I said, I am realistic about it. I mean, just that Bengal game. I just really think that I just think the Browns have finally crossed that level to where they're not going to walk in, going, oh, we whooped you the first time, so we got this. Like, I really think they're going to want to hurt them even more. I have this feeling about that.
It could be.
But the rest of the games, I am realistic. And again, I mean, this week is going to be a super tough test. And then, God forbid, if they win, then you're coming home against a Carolina team that's fighting for a playoff berth, especially if they lose this week. But, then you got to win a game at home, which, I mean, you'll have a lot of juice there. So thankfully that'll be on our side. You'll have a 3-game win streak. You'll be in front of the home crowd, stuff like that. And then, I mean, it's so hard not to think down the road because it is so exciting. And I mean, every week it just gets more and more exciting. I mean, it's just, I with every passing touchdown, I'm just going, holy crap. Like this, I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. I have not felt like this. I felt like this the first half of the 2007 season.
Right.
But I can't count that year as feeling like this because the second half of the 2000 season, while so many other Browns fans were sitting there celebrating and were kicking everybody's ass, I was watching Derek Anderson going, this guy sucks. Because if you looked at the first 8 games, he was untouchable. The last 8 games, he was crap. And no one noticed because they were still pulling games out because they had a little bit of a weak schedule.
Yeah.
But I was in Cincinnati when he threw those 4 picks. I was at Paul Brown Stadium. I watched it happen.
Right.
And I mean, he's trying to throw a 20-yard pass, and he's throwing a freaking interception to a defensive lineman. Like, what the hell is that?
Right.
So
yeah, and everybody forgot that New Orleans game too, where he threw the bomb at the end of the game, the Hail Mary that actually got caught.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
that's the only reason we won that game.
I mean, and so legitimately, I have not been this optimistic or confident since, before the team left.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm trying to temper my excitement, but it's just, when you see Baker do what he's doing, and I mean, and the thing about him, what he's doing, like, he's playing good, and you're watching it going, okay, you have to temper it a little bit, like, okay, this is what a good quarterback is supposed to do. But then you would start reading articles and hearing, news reports after the game and the days following. It's like, oh, well, he's the first rookie in NFL history to do this. He's the first rookie in NFL history to do that. He set the Browns rookie record for this. He set this record. It's like, what the hell are we watching? And it does make you think down the road. If he's doing this now, like, do we really have a guy? I mean, it sounds like a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's like,
all
it
right,
just makes
now,
you think,
easy, John.
now, wait a minute. I'm not saying he's in the Hall of Fame. You always take me wrong.
Easy,
I'm saying,
I don't. But I know how shows like this get, and somebody will comment. John thinks he's going to the Hall of Fame. Like,
well, that's fine. But I'm just saying, it. You sit there and you just go, holy crap! Like, could this be a reality for us for a change? Like, is that a legitimate thing that we might be able to talk about years down the road? Yeah. And it's just a crazy thing to think about, and like you said, like your voice is shot from celebrating on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting there going, like, I mean, after this, by the time they scored that third touchdown, I'm like, what in God's name am I watching? Like, this is not anything we could have ever expected.
Yeah, no, it has been really fun. I'll tell you, what I'm looking forward to, as we go forward, more than anything that happens on the field. I'm looking forward to the team being decent enough that we can stop hearing these condescending, backhanded compliments from these assholes that are calling the games. I am so tired of, this is the first time they've won 2 straight since 2000, or this is the first time they haven't had 4 picks in a game. So, it's like, shut up. Just stop with your national media still wanting Cleveland to be a dumpster fire. We're not this year. Accept it. We don't need to be. We live here, you cocksuckers. We know how bad it's been. We don't need to be reminded that this is the first time they've gone 3 straight games without three interceptions or whatever. Stop with the negative compliments.
And everybody else knows it too. It's not like you're giving people new information, like basically saying, hey, the Browns have been absolute dog shit for 20 years. Like, okay, everybody knows that.
Yeah. How about this? I mean, it's a whole new different thing from the top down. So let's stop with the judging against these 20 years of crap.
Yeah. I mean, and even the Bengals themselves, I mean, this whole Baker Mayfield thing, which I purposely didn't bring up because it's just stupid. Of course he's going to give Hugh the business, whatever.
Of course.
We don't know the whole story, but what people are not saying, like that idiot Dave Lapham, the one of the radio guys from Cincinnati, is a total Cincinnati homer, and they're talking about, I think someone told me that Marvin Lewis in his post-game press conference, they brought up, have some class, and I thought they were acting like jerks, this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, well, how about you talk about the fact that your players were on the field telling ours before the game, like, who the hell do you think you are? You're the Browns. You're the Browns. Like, they're the ones basically crapping on us, not looking at – did you not watch any game tape? Did you not see anything that's been going on? Like you're the one that started running your mouth, then you're pissed because we retaliate? Yeah. Like, you started it. You threw skin into the fight, man. I mean, and you got bitch slapped as a result. Don't be telling us we have no class. Yeah. You're the ones that started it.
Isn't the all-time record for most classless move against Cleveland come from Cincinnati? That cocksucker Sam Weish?
Yeah, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean,
that's the most famous one ever.
Well, and Cincinnati of all teams to tell people to have class. I mean, oh my God, you have Vontaze. Just start at Vontaze Burfict. You can even start and end there. Yeah. But your running back had to sit out a year of college because he roundhoused a woman in public and knocked her out. Yeah. You signed James Harrison, who's one of the biggest pieces of garbage to ever play in the NFL. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, even several years ago, like 10 years ago, the joke was, oh, yeah, we know why they signed there in Cincinnati because they're already used to wearing orange. Like, I mean, It was ridiculous. I mean, they sign thugs all the time and then have the nerve to come and go, oh, have some class. Baker shook his hand. What do you want?
Yeah, he didn't walk away from him. He did shake his hand.
I do want to address the Baker thing just for a second, and we can, give our predictions and stuff because I know we're running long here. But the one thing that I learned, okay, and I learned this from Jim Donovan. He's the radio voice of the Browns. This is a true story. Mm-hmm. Jim Donovan lives in the same city that I used to live in, and there's only one. I lived there for 15 years. I just moved to a new place this year, and there's only one bar and restaurant in that town, and I happen to live literally right next door to it, like, a couple 100-foot walk. Mm-hmm. And a couple times when I was in there drinking, I actually ran into Jim Donovan, and I got to talking to him a few times. And one thing that he told me, and it turns out to be very true because I've seen news reports and, over the years of things happening to the Browns and things that are reported that come to find out are actually true, like things that are speculated. He said that when you hear all these little tidbits, like read the tea leaves of the news reports. Like if you start hearing like a little tiny thing that seems inconsequential in one person's report, but then you see it in someone else's and then in someone else's, that basically means that thing is true. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to have journalistic integrity by not coming out and laying this whole thing bare for all to read. It's right. It's how they keep their contact within the team and all that stuff. So, all these people talking about, like Damian Woody saying, oh, grow up, this, that, and the other. Hugh Jackson, don't be ripping Hugh Jackson in public. People are saying that. Some people have a problem with it. I've seen a lot of little things about Baker Mayfield not liking Hugh Jackson and Hugh Jackson not liking Baker Mayfield and kind of dogging him. Mm-hmm. So everyone that's saying, oh, he shouldn't do that, like, no, pretty much he had a damn good reason to do that. So don't be surprised if the story ever comes out that, that Hugh was kind of, anti-Baker behind the scenes. Yeah. So, I mean.
Well, not only that, just going to the Bengals is a bitch move.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that? Who, as long as you've been watching football, there's been 100 coaches, I would imagine, that have been fired during the season since you've been watching football. Is that probably close, give or take? Of all those coaches, can you think of one other time ever that a coach immediately went to another team and didn't just sit out the rest of the year and then pick it up maybe the next year or a year after that?
No.
Never happens. But this guy decides to go to Cincinnati with his game plan or with his game book, his playbook, 2 weeks later? That's bogus, man. That's... You know what? You want to talk about having some class. How about having some dignity for what you just did, whether it was awful or not, and sit out like a professional, like every other professional in the history of this game does. How about you sit out, you collect your $20 million that you're still getting, and you don't act like an ass.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. Like people are saying, well, he has a right to go get a job. Yeah, he does. He has a right to make money. Okay, that one's crap because he's already getting paid by the Browns. Yeah, and he only took $250,000 from the damn Bengals. Yeah. And see, to me, when this whole thing went down, I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, he has every right to take a job, and who else is going to hire him but the Bengals? We all knew that. But I read a really good point today, and the person said, look how fast this came together. If you think that he wasn't working on a plan with Marvin Lewis ahead of time, knowing he wasn't going to survive this crap, then you're fooling yourself. And I thought, that really does make a lot of sense because it was like a week and a half after he got canned here that he was back.
Yeah, and he's on the sideline and everything, so he already knew the playbook and everything. Get out of here.
Yeah, it was just shady. And that's what Baker was referencing, like he's calling him fake and stuff. Yeah, because he was probably, double dipping while he was coaching the Browns. It's like, so, and you know what? Last point about the Baker thing. Personally, I love it because it's about time that we have a player on the field that's doing and saying and acting the way that we want to do things and act and say things. Mm-hmm. We've been a doormat for so long. And if now we find, and what we just want to do is go up to other fans and go, up yours. Yeah. And have that chip on our shoulder and go and just act on it And Baker is that. Baker has that Cleveland attitude that we all like to think that we have. And we're seeing it displayed on the field and off the field, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it because, you know what? I've lost for 20 years. So if you don't like the fact that my quarterback's acting like a prick, good. I hope you hate it, and I hope you learn to love it because it's coming at you for the next 15 years, you piece of shit.
Yeah, you know what? There's nobody that's sitting around talking about how well Jeff Garcia held himself on on and off the field, what a class guy he was in Cleveland, or Jake Delhomme, or Brady Quinn, or Tim Couch. No one's talking about any of that stuff. No one cares about the good citizens that these guys were. You know, the only two quarterbacks that anybody talks about are Baker and Manziel. And Manziel was an ass, but didn't have the talent to back it up. And Baker's somewhat of an ass, but he's got the talent to back it up. So good.
Yeah.
Fine. You know what? I don't like this guy at all, but give it to LeBron James. LeBron's an ass, but he sure as hell backed it up.
Yeah.
And continues to back it up. So people are willing to deal with him being an ass. And same thing with Baker. Fine. You know, you don't have to love this, and you don't have to be all supportive of Baker, throwing shade on Hugh Jackson. But you know what? Some was necessary. It was definitely necessary. This is a new era. This is an era that says, don't fuck with me.
Yes.
And he's the leader of the don't effers.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I completely agree, man. And I just, I love it because it just, everything about it feels different. The whole vibe of all of this just feels so different, but in a positive way. Like, it's like, it feels real finally. And Baker's leading that charge. And it's just something that we have needed. I mean, it's not just good quarterback play. It's not like you have like a good, wholesome, mellow guy coming in here, like, oh, shucks, ho hum, I'm going to be a nice guy and play good quarterback. No, it's not only that, but the dude's got an attitude. Yeah. And it's, he's a leader, like they say. I mean, it's so funny because like everybody says, oh, he's such a great leader. That's like the whole thing about Baker. But it's even happening within the fan base. Like, you could see that in him just in the way the fans are reacting because, at the beginning of the season when we started doing the show, you remember, even you were laughing at me with my like, Baker, touchdown maker. But even you're texting me now like, holy crap, Baker. And, my wife is the same way. And other people I know that were just like, oh, let's see. But then as the season's going on, more and more people are jumping on this Baker bandwagon because you just can't help but get behind the guy.
Well, and it cracks me up, the local people here that are upset that he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's happy to flaunt it. For God's sakes, you ever sit in the Dawg Pound? What do you think goes on up there? Everybody's talking mad shit about everything. About everything. I mean, we could be 1-14 going into the last week of the season against the Patriots, who are favored by 40. And you know what? The first time that someone drops a pass, everyone in that Dawg Pound will be like, "You suck, Gronkowski, you piece of shit."
True.
Meanwhile, he'll have 180. And meanwhile, he has 180 catches on the year or whatever. It's like, for God's sakes, that is our town. We are hardcore, ready to fight, ready to scrap at a moment's notice people. And here is a guy that represents us that way. He's ready to do it on a moment's notice. And he doesn't back down from anything.
Yep, he's got that chip like we do. He was a walk on. We have constant jokes about the burning river. He was told he was undraftable and he was Johnny Manziel 2.0. We have the mistake by the lake. It's like all these different things. It's like he fits us perfectly.
Yeah,
and with his play on the field and the way he's acting, he's representing us. Like I just said, he's exactly what we want to be, how we want to act. We're tired of getting crapped on, and we are acting on it through Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I mean, the way we're reacting to the team, the way we're representing in the stadium and everything like that. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, now he just needs to win. That's the only thing he's got to do, because if he goes through all this and then doesn't win, that will be really ugly.
Yeah, all for naught. So, all right. Well, on that note, let's get our predictions out of the way here. Right. I know I prefaced mine a little bit earlier, but I am going to let the rational / superstitious Browns fan in me make my prediction, and I think the Browns are losing this week, and it could get ugly. I have a real big fear of a comeback to earth moment. So I'm thinking like Texans 34, Browns 17 in that area.
All right. I'm going the other way. I'm going 34-30 Browns. And that's a little bit of an emotional decision. But like I had said earlier in the podcast, I really think that this is the game. I'm either going to be 1,000% wrong or 1,000% right on this. But,
Yep.
but you know,
Both of us.
But I really think that Baker's going to come in here wanting to prove that he's the better quarterback. And I get the impression that means something to him. And I think he's going to be feeling a lot more than dangerous. I think we're going to hear a new word when he wakes up on Sunday.
Yeah.
Whatever that new word is going to be, intimidating or something, but
Destructive
something. But I just have a feeling that he personally is going to come out ready ready to prove that no matter how good J.J. Watt is and Clowney are, that he's better. And he wants to show up Deshaun Watson, and I think he has a chance to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing I completely agree that, he's going to go out there, and for people that are saying, well, the Browns could have had Deshaun Watson, he's going to want to go, yeah, well, you didn't need him because you got me, you got something better. So I completely agree that is, that could definitely be his motivating factor this week. So
he wants to just say, go sit down, broke knee. It's like that.
Exactly. Oh, man. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the Dawg Pound Podcast. We appreciate the downloads and streams and shares and all that good stuff. And as usual, here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Thanks for listening to the Dawg Pound Podcast. Be part of the next edition by sending your thoughts to Woof, that's WOOF, at dogpoundpodcast.com. or by calling us at 216-503-6404. See you next time, and go Browns!